anyway, so we were talking yesterday about the old Build the Marathon series, because there are two things that I get asked about, and one is, when are you going to play more Marathon? And we are going to play more Marathon. I'm hoping this year to do at least one of the last two remaining big scenarios that we haven't played, which are Rubicon and Eternal. But the other thing that I get asked about is this series, because we only did one level, and we didn't really finish it. What I've done now is I've copied the server for this down onto my computer, and I'm gonna join it. And I had to tweak a bunch of stuff to make this work, but it's still...
Yeah, this isn't working for me again. Hold on.
What? The stream?
Yeah, I'm sure my blockers are goofing something. Hold on, let me listen to this.
Oh, that is creepy as hell. What is going on?
What?
There's ambient noise.
Where?
On the ship.
Audio?
No, on the ship. On the Marathon.
What? Wasn't there always?
No, there wasn't wind. Oh, heck.
Oh, you mean on our ship? Oh, wait, there we go. Oh, alright, there we go.
Oh, I just thought of something. We put the tornado mod in Aurora Novum. Did we also have it here?
Oh god, I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not, because that literally means that we could end up having a tornado in space, which, probably shouldn't happen. But if they didn't exclude the effect of tornadoes from certain dimensions. Okay, so anyway, yeah, we did this basically. These are all blocks that belong to the Chisel mod, which is a way of creating a bunch of alternate textures for surfaces like stone and wood. And we just imported textures from the actual Marathon distributables.
Okay,
Oh, wow, look at all this crap. That stuff was also cool. Yeah, I'm getting the usual cave noise and my footsteps, but there's also another sound which sounds like wind. Oh, and I forgot I did that. I actually pasted Mars as the Earth texture, I think, so that the space station dimension in Galacticraft is only supposed to be in Earth orbit. So it was showing Earth, even though we're supposed to be, on Deimos, so we're supposed to be above Mars. And I think I pasted it in so it looks like Mars, which would be broken, because if I jump off this, I will land on Earth, not Mars. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what's making the noise. It's the oxygen collection system above the hangar. Makes noise. Oh hey, and all the mechanism gear and the solar panels. Still isn't. Alright, so anyway, the server's still running. We never quite finished this. The level was mostly done up until... And as I was saying before, this is all done with the Chisel mod. These are textures we took from the game. We're not distributing the textures, so we're just using it in a video, just like we would if we were playing Marathon. So I hope it's okay. We didn't make any of these textures. And this is the part that I didn't finish. This is the labyrinth that goes between here and the other side of the hangar. Which
we had a thing with doors we were working on.
Yeah, so basically, the rest of these steel blocks are the places that need to be dug out, and then these frame blocks, which we were using from carpenter's blocks, need to replace the stone, because those are the actual walls. The iron blocks here are the spaces, because that's how we brought it in, basically by converting the Marathon's level geometry to a voxel, and then importing that voxel into MC Edit, and then pasting that into the dimension. This is a Galacticraft space station dimension, which is a special dimension belonging to this. Now, we had hoped to make as close as possible to a fully explorable, linked with teleporters, possibly even playable version of the game, where we would, eventually add maybe guns and mods and stuff. here are the telepads. However, the telepads do not work reliably, and they barely work at all between dimensions. And this is all based on Minecraft version 1.6.4, which at this point is ancient since since then there's been 1.7.2, 1.7.10, 1.8, 1.9, 1.10, and now 1.11. Furthermore, the gap between the way modding is done on 1.6 and the next version up, which is 1.7.2 or 1.7.10, which are pretty compatible with each other, is probably the biggest gap that exists between any two arbitrary recent versions of Minecraft. Because this is the last version that used hard-coded item, entity, and block IDs. And while they're a pain to work with, it did allow you to do some interesting things when you upgraded from one version of Minecraft to the other, because it meant that you could manually resolve any ID conflicts by going through your config files and making sure that the item numbers were what they were supposed to be if some mod started misbehaving. Starting in 1.7, you cannot do that anymore. Item IDs and block IDs are still in the game and minimally supported, but there is no way to resolve conflicts that way because block IDs are not respected in config files, and Minecraft moved to a preferred system of using strings to identify all the blocks, items, and entities provided by the game and by mods. The upshot of all this is that a world-preserving modded Minecraft migration from 1.6 to 1.7 is virtually impossible. And it's the more mods you have, the more impossible it is, if that makes any sense for anything to be more impossible.
Well, yeah, because the difficulty, I think, would become exponential when one does not work in the other. So
what I'm going to do now is I just want to demonstrate what goes on when you try and do what I've been trying to do. I just want to show you the hilarity that ensues.
I had a feeling it was going to be
when you try
disconcerting.
And do this.
You instantly fall through the world infinitely because things are transparent, or tries to turn itself into a cube. Or...
Oh, here, you like movie. Look at that. Look at that.
I haven't seen anything yet. It says build the marathon 1.7 can't connect server.
Getting a lot of delay.
Could be. Okay, now it's loading big green page.
Yeah, that's the actual server. All right, so I'll put it back to the client.
Let's see. I see the multiplayer screen.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so build the marathon 1.7 local. I'm going to click join, and bang, the server crashes. Server crashes with a huge error. Okay, so okay,
server closed.
Yeah.
Connection
Okay,
lost.
so basically, then I take that world and I ditch it, and I expand my backup zip, and then what I will do is that I have to literally rename the space station dimension so that the game will ignore it, and it will recreate a blank one. Space. Server window. How about that? How about that?
Cool.
Not that helps anything, but...
Galacticraft check failed, trying in 15 seconds. 10, 14, 35 error.
Yep, okay. Alright, so now what it should do is it's going to spawn me in, and it will not crash. And it even shows, hey, Space Race Manager, because this is the new features in the newer version of Galacticraft. And I'm now high above the Earth. Not Mars, because
this just repeated and lagged back like 5 seconds.
It's weird. Maybe Beam is having problems today.
Oh, maybe.
So anyway...
Yeah, because it seemed to be synced, and then all of a sudden, the Beam window refreshed, and went back to a thing 5 seconds ago.
Okay, so now and I've actually got my modular power suit on and everything. That stuff's been preserved.
Yep.
See, so I've got all this cool stuff that we did.
I see the glove. I see 9 lights or something, and
it looks like I lost my sword, but I think the sword belonged to another mod. So anyway, when I get low enough now, it will actually spawn me high in the clouds over the overworld. You see, and now I'm above the clouds. I'm falling. You can actually see right there. Those are the 2 rockets.
I just okay. Now I see the clouds. It's kind of like bouncing.
Yeah.
As it's loading in. The ground is coming in. There seems to be all these orange dots everywhere. Oh my god! It looks like it meshed with Mars.
No. What this means is that for whatever reason, and I may continue to tinker a little bit. I may decide to see that if I add in more versions of the mods that we had, like extra biomes and whatnot, maybe things will get better. But this seems to have messed up even basic vanilla Minecraft stuff. Like, there's supposed to be a village here, and there's really no sign of it. For some reason,
the railway seems goofed.
Actually, the railway is like one of the most intact things of the stuff we built. I can see into the base there, but because we built it out of a block that was provided by a mod, all of the concrete blocks are missing. About the only recognizable feature here, because we made it out of wood, was the Marathon Space Agency sign, MSA, which you can see there. The railway at least is rails. And they do go over there to the splashdown zone. They
just look wrong. They look like Legos.
Yeah, these orange bits are cubes of lava, which are everywhere.
Okay, that explains.
And for some reason, large parts of the surface are also covered by powered rails. Oh, hey, look, there's a horse with diamond armor. So anyway, I mean, we don't need any of this really, but it is all highly, highly broken to the point where you have to wonder, well, I mean, would it ever be worth fixing any of this stuff, especially since the entire level is in the space station dimension, and the space station dimension is inaccessible. So the problem is if I can't find a better way of doing this, and it looks like I can't, then the choices are stick with 1.6, meaning telepads will never work. We'll never actually have it being the way we want. I can continue to work for a little while, adding custom textures to the chisel mod until it runs out. I can then possibly make a custom mod to add more blocks until I run out. The last extreme method would be literally to disable some of the older mods we used to recover their block IDs so we can add even more blocks. But eventually we'd run out, and we would have a not quite working the way we wanted, several mods broken, things not quite right version of what we wanted to make. And we'd only done one partial level. And we spent a good amount of our time familiarizing ourselves with vanilla Minecraft, learning Galacticraft. What are those things made out of? It looks like... God, it looks like...
I don't know.
It looks like the Earth. And for some reason also, they seem to be like invisible blocks over certain areas where like I can't actually get to ground level. There's like something beneath. I cannot go lower than this.
There's something in your way.
Yeah, like but it's also
but you don't know what.
But it's also not a block though, because I'm in creative mode and I can destroy any block with a single punch and it will just be deleted, and I cannot do that to whatever is below me. This world is just messed up to a point where I can't use it for anything. It also looks, it looks like everywhere we had stone path, it looks like it's turned to powered rail. So yeah, this is highly, highly messed up.
Wow, this is even beyond expectations for Bizarro World.
Yeah. So the option are, again, to stick with 1.6 with what's broken and just keep on doing exactly what we were doing until it we get more of it done.
Well, we finish. Let me ask you a question. did you ever, in all practicality, expect to do every marathon level in Minecraft with 164 the way that we were going?
Not every level, but then again, you got to figure it, right? I mean, more than half.
Which ones, or how much did you expect?
The ones that are on the ship. Like there's actually a limited number of levels that actually occur in the first game on the marathon itself, because at some point you get access to the alien ship, and a bunch of the levels are there. So there actually aren't as many levels as you would think. Is that a horse down there? That's a horse down there. I think it was like 12 to 15.
Okay, so the question
again,
is, did you expect to do them all?
I that was the original plan, and I also knew that like the first one would probably take the longest, right? Because every time you needed a texture, you needed to get it into the game and figure out how it works and see if they aligned properly and if it looked right. And of course, it doesn't look exactly right. You know, you can line up screenshots of the two games together, and it does. You know, the textures repeat too often because in our texture set, you know, textures are not as big in Marathon. We would have to go, I think, to a 256 pixel resource pack in order to get closer approximation of what things look like when they tile in the Aleph 1 engine looking at Marathon 1.
Okay, so that's option 1. What would option 2 be?
Option 2 would be I start with at least 1.7.10 because that is still the version that the most mods are available for. Like, there are some mods that upgraded to 1.8 or 1.9 and 1.10 and 1.11, but not everything is. So, like, the fat part of the bell curve for available mods is still right now at 1.7.10. But the upgrade path from there all the way up to the newer versions is much cleaner because this whole system of how block IDs and item IDs and entity IDs and tile IDs has been resolved. And it's basically the same from 1.7 up to the new versions. Now, there might be some speed bumps there, but at least it's possible to do, because if you have the new versions of the new mods on the new server, they should just work and you shouldn't have to mess with anything. Prior to 1.7, you had to manually mess with the block IDs in the config files, but suddenly at 1.7, you are unable to do that because it just doesn't respect it. There's no way for you to change things. You have to basically edit world and MC edit and change all the blocks you want manually. So the other option is I start at 1.7.10. I put in the newest versions available for that of the... Oh my god, what is... spawning over there? Is it? Oh, okay, it's just cows. So Galacticraft, Mechanism, you know, some of that stuff, and then probably either again start working with Chisel or start right away making a custom mod to contain our custom blocks and start over, but again, not with the whole let's build the rockets and let's go to Mars. I would start immediately with like, okay, let's make a custom dimension, or maybe two custom dimensions, like one like a low gravity and one regular gravity but no oxygen, so that we can approximate what the levels are like in the game, and redo by bringing in, okay, let's bring in the Deimos voxel map and do that first thing over, and then proceed with the later levels on the new version. What we would lose is all the like overworld stuff, like our village and the base and the Mars base and all that stuff. We would lose those things, but it also looks to me that unless we stick with 1.6, we can't keep that stuff anyway, because this is what happens when you bring it into 1.7. It's all
right.
Horribly. Ooh, look, I got a lot closer to the surface here. I was not able to get this far down.
Oh, you found a hole?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, who knows? It looks like the only things that seem to be preserved are the absolute vanilla Minecraft items. So basically, like earth, water, glass, trees. Mm-hmm. I have no idea what is with the lava. It's not snow, because the snow blocks are preserved. So I have no idea.
Torches.
Oh, is it? Okay, but those are vanilla items. Like, so something's gone terribly wrong if it's taking a vanilla item like a torch.
Well, think of where they're placed. They're placed all over the place to make light.
They are.
Maybe they're numerically similar in the system.
No, they shouldn't. They shouldn't be. So
there's a dog. The dogs are there.
Yeah.
The wolves, remember?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah, I
what's
see.
option 3?
Okay, well, I'm going to continue to tinker with it. One option basically is, all right, let's first try to, I could take this world and remove all the mods and just bring it into vanilla only and see what happens. In other words, what that should do is it will remove every block that comes from a mod and replace it with nothing. But hopefully, regular stuff would be preserved. So that would be better than this, because hopefully there wouldn't be lava everywhere there are torches.
When we lose all the machinery and all the... Well, here's the thing. Are we going to be doing anything here once we get the dimension and the design of the marathon?
It depends.
Anyway.
And the other choice here actually is, if we were going to start over and do catch up, then I would do that in creative mode, where basically we wouldn't be like, we were doing this in survival, as a survival build, with the idea that we are gathering the resources and crafting the build materials.
That was another thing I was going to say. So what if we were to finish off the first thing? Because now, how close are we with the 164?
Well, we were pretty close to having a completed arrival in that. Like I said, the labyrinth area. So basically, like, when you start playing and you go down the stairs and then you go up the stairs and you go through the elevator, there's the labyrinth with all the moving platforms, and then you come out the other side of that and you end up in the area that overlooks the hangar from the other side from where you ended up, and then there's an exit terminal over that way. So we were, I think, maybe like 75, 80% done. The problem with the labyrinth is that it's a complicated area, and there are several moving platforms in there, and it was unclear how to do those. Like, there's basically lots of stuff that we just wouldn't have been able to do in our mod pack because it didn't support it. Maybe we could have done it by adding more mods, but we already had like 160 mods in there.
Oh, so it was like 200 or something. Okay, well, here's my thoughts. I think logically, since 164, with the way it was abandoned in place, still pretty much works, if that's correct. We simply just didn't finish off the last 15-20%.
Yeah, we could finish that one level.
Right. Well, that's what I'm thinking. If we were to finish that one level, okay, and say, okay, this has progressed so far that now that we have a bunch of different options for it, why don't we then, from that standpoint, say, okay, we're going to go to 710, or we're going to go to 8.1, or 8.11, or 8 whatever, and say, okay, we did as far as we could with 164. We are retiring.
So you want to start with bigger guns then?
Yeah. You know, I'm if we were to finish off the final 20% and say, okay, we're done with that. Now we're going to try and do something else. So if we could import or grab the pieces we want and leave the base in this dimension in this version, right? But then say, okay, in creative, let's make the stuff that we want to do, because we proved that it could be done in the old stuff. It's just the old stuff is the old stuff. You know, it got surpassed. So if we were to go in and say, okay, we want to create the levels that we want in creative, but with a newer version, without ruining the old, we could then just make the extra 13, 14, 15 levels or whatever we want that way.
Okay, well, I guess my opinion is this. If we were going to say, forget all the problems of 1.6, it works more or less. We got most of one level done. Let's forget about the disadvantages and just finish whatever we can in 1.6. If we were going to do that, then I would be willing to finish the labyrinth in Arrival in 1.6 and then move forward. If we're going to move, if bigger guns and everything after that is going to be in 1.7, then I'm not going to bother finishing the Arrival labyrinth. What I would do is then I would, on back channel, be working on how do I re-import, recreate Arrival in 1.7, but that would just not be like, I wouldn't make that part of the series, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would do that when it was done. When it was done, I would do a tour and say, and here we've brought Arrival back. I achieved it by copying and pasting in MC Edit and then replacing a bunch of blocks and then spending a bunch of time tweaking with stuff, and here it is, and then it would link
Okay,
it would
would
link
that be
up.
possible if we were to just take the marathon section? If we were just to take
Yeah,
the arrival level,
Yeah, because at the very
as opposed
least,
to everything else.
at the very least, what I could do would be to just use MC Edit and copy in all the existing blocks, so that they would basically be like two kinds of blocks. They would be stone, which would be the Deimos asteroid, I assume moon that I imported originally, and the iron block outline of the level that we started with before we started adding the textures. At the very least, we could get that far, and then it's just a question of using creative mode and doing a bunch of carpenter's blocks, doing a bunch of chisel blocks, putting the textures back in place. And we wouldn't bother recording any of that or streaming any of that until it was ready to show.
Right.
In terms of trying to move to 1.7, there are two things I can try to do. Is that one is that I can try to rock this whole world down to vanilla, remove everything, and use this same world, so that basically we're dealing with the same geometry. I'm just going to add new stuff and new dimensions. Or I can try and go the other way, and instead of taking all the mods out, I can try to add more mods in, and hoping that the newer versions of the mods manage to fix some of this nonsense by saying, oh, okay, the reason why these things are being replaced with vanilla blocks is because it doesn't know what to do with them because the mods aren't there. So maybe some of this will fix itself if I add some of those back in. I'm suspicious about that. I think the other approach
I would be too.
may be better.
I mean,
but at the very least, if I was hoping at least I could do it with just Galacticraft. Like, if I just had Galacticraft, that meant that the space station dimension would be there, and the moon would be there, and the iron blocks would be there. And even if all the blocks were wrong, at least the shape would be there, and we would just going back to texturing stuff.
Right.
But if I can't do that, then it basically means we got to create the dimension.
Laborious out of all of it, because I mean, which do you think, in all practicality, with your schedule and timing and effort to put in it, which do you think would be
probably the shortest,
the most practically achievable?
The shortest path to restarting this series is New World 1.7 bigger guns, and then I just take as long as I need behind the scenes to either recreate the old level or re-import it or fix it or copy paste it, whatever it is. That's the shortest route to new episodes and telling people, hey, we're working on this again. It just means we cannot immediately travel back and forth between Arrival and Big Guns because they don't exist in the same world. Because my original plan, was to link all the levels up with teleporters, so that when you go to a terminal and click it, that terminal triggers a teleporter that takes you to the next level, just like it would in the game. And we can't do that in 1.6 because telepads is terribly, terribly broken. And I wouldn't be able to do that at 1.7 because Arrival doesn't exist in 1.7, and as you see, it can't because the space station dimension crashes the level, and the whole rest of the world is borked. So the easiest
we're kind
thing,
of an impasse with certain functionalities, which is why I thought if we did Arrival in 1.6.4 to say, hey, we finished it, now we're going to go off this. So that just means we won't be able to transfer into between dimensions all the way back to the original.
I'm willing to call that finished just because the 1.6 world, if you're not going to complete it there, is a dead end, and I think any effort spent on it is something better spent on something else. The part of the level we didn't do, to me, is like the least interesting. It's a dark, one block wide, maze. It's the part of the level that you hate. Anyway, like even when you're just playing the game, that's the worst part of that level.
Okay, so you would be willing to recreate Arrival in 1.7?
Yeah, I would rather start with bigger guns and then work behind the scenes to bring Arrival back up to where it was, and then have it finished eventually in 1.7, while at the same time we're doing new episodes, working on the new levels on the new server with the new mods.
Okay, now, Bigger Guns, what version does Bigger Guns run on?
Oh, we don't have Bigger Guns. We never even started it.
No, I know, but I mean, of the Minecraft sequence of versions, what is that 1.7? Is that 1.8? Is that 1.10? Or,
Well, I think 1.7.
I just don't know where it goes within the thing.
I think 1.7 because once you start going above 1.7, you lose access to a lot of mods. Now I'm going to take a look at what the latest versions of some of the core mods are. This new server that we're on now, I think, only has. Let me look. It has Carpenter's Blocks, Chisel, Galacticraft, Mechanism, which includes extra mods, Mechanism generators, Mechanism tools, modular power suits, open blocks, and I actually threw in tall doors because it existed. I don't know why. That was what we made the fences and the basically the multi-block doors that we used in the hangars and for the doors that let the horses out. So that's not a lot, and those all exist on 1.7.10, and they all work.
That seems to be like a core chunk.
I think that many of those, if not all of them, also have versions that run on 1.8, but maybe not all of them.
Okay.
So let me see.
Here's my question:
modular power
Is there
suits.
a way to make a Minecraft world new in 1.7 with the core mods that work with that version that would be current, the latest versions or the best versions that we had before?
Yeah,
right?
okay, like for instance,
and
modular
then in MC Edit simply transplanting sections of the old world into the new. You know what I mean? Building a new foundation with the correct shit, but simply grabbing parts of the area that we worked on from those two things, i.e. either the actual rock or the section just around the base or whatever.
I would probably try to do that just like I did with
the other one
with Blightfall, which is after we've got the Mars dimension spawned in the new version of Galacticraft, probably what I would do is I would use MC Edit and just copy the geometry of the base.
Right.
Just the base, and paste that in. Now, a bunch of stuff would break, and the stuff that's broken, I would just delete, and I would use creative mode or whatever to recreate it. It probably means that for a while I'm going to have the dual screen. I'm going to have 1.6 running over there, so I can look at
the other.
Yeah, so I can look at what it is, and then go to 1.7 and say, okay, how do I recreate that?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
you could have it on one system or a laptop, and then say, okay, this goes here, this goes here.
Yeah, for Mars that would be pretty easy, I think, because the Mars base, although it was complicated, was kind of compact.
Small.
It was small.
Yeah, it was small.
But we did a lot of stuff all over Earth that I think would be a little bit difficult to deal with.
Well, see, that's just it. Do we even care about Earth anymore in this? Earth, do we really, or is there anything?
It depends on survival versus creative, because all of our industrial production was on Earth.
I do this all in creative. I mean, we've proven. Seriously, the question is how much of a stickler and how much of a difficulty curve do you really want to do? For the simple fact is that we literally are just trying to replicate a design from one game to the other. We proved and accomplished all the things that we needed to in the world to say, hey, we're going to start from bare bones scratch and go all the way up to here. We did it. We proved we can do it. But simply because the versions have moved beyond, it's like, what's the point of making it that much harder for ourselves when we're simply trying to create what we wanted to in a new version? To me, the whole survival mode thing is just, it's like trying to run a marathon while shooting yourself in the foot. Why would you do that? We already proved that we can run it. Why should we make it that much harder for ourselves? I would stick with creative. I would probably try to do the same thing you did before with the MC Edit in transferring stuff, so at least you've got the framework of everything we had before, so the reference between one to the other is a little bit more accurate, even if it's may not be detail correct, where things will break or get replaced with goofy things that you would have to, again, do the dual screen thing. That seems far more fluid, practical, and achievable when you think about how many levels really are, even in just the first one. I mean, you said there were like 12 levels that you had to do.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And doing that in survival mode while dealing with all the incompatibility. I'm sorry, I'd want to swallow a shotgun after working around that for a couple of weeks. And the simple fact is that we have so many other titles that we're working on right now do you really think you're going to have enough free time between the edits, the postings, and whatnot? I mean, true, we're getting a lot of this stuff down to where it's almost shoot to tape, you know, and ideally that's what you want to do anyway. I mean, of the Mass Effect 3s, I mean, aren't those the simplest ones that we've done so far? I mean, as far as post-production goes?
Partially because I am rushing them. Like, I'm not bothering with the recaps, and I'm being more selective about how much time I take to streamline things. You know, I'm just cutting out big dead chunks and repetition.
Exactly. That's what it should be, to tell you the truth. So, in fact, the only thing I would probably do is you know, at the end of things, I see a lot of YouTubers that at the end or the beginning of their videos, they either have a little graphical, you know, like station identification and like end credits and or, you know, 5-10 seconds either way, showing, hey, this is our channel, this is our name, check us out on Twitch, check us out on this, check us out on that, or whatever. And those are the only things that I could see that would be lacking for ours, is like bookends. Is like, hey, rampancy.net channels, we cover blah blah blah. Boom. This is the Marathon series. This is the Mass Effect series. This is whatever. And at the end, it's like, hey, check out our other channels of we do Minecraft, we do this, we do that, we do that. You know, click on such and such for our playlists of other shit. That's the only other thing that I could think we could add to this that may get people interested in the other stuff we do, that because they may not even fucking know that, you know, they may not even see that shit, let alone you know, like, hey, share this with your friends, you know, share this with someone you may like, to develop or to get more viewers or whatnot. That's the only thing I could think that we could probably be doing different. But as far as this goes, I just think that we don't need to make this any harder for you,
right? Okay.
Because you're going to be doing 99% of this. And I think for the creative aspect of it, the most compatible version, and possibly doing the MC edit trick that you've done before and does work, at least for the most part. I mean, it was pretty successful.
My only problem with that is that I do it so rarely that I need to ramp up and relearn everything every time I do it, and then I'm done with it. I'm like, wow, that was such a pain, and I immediately forget it. I put MC edit away, and I don't.
No, I know. Because I remember the last time you did it, having to go across the 128 or 256 block area and say, okay, we got to go up, we got to go down, we got to go this, we got to get the whole chunk. But that's the only thing that I think will be able to translate from the old version to the new, rather than starting in the new one from scratch. But to me, I felt kind of bad that we kind of abandoned in place. I feel that it was like a house unfinished, you know. With the first one, but if it makes more sense to start over in the new,
I think it does,
which is fine by me. That's the only thing that I would be, or would have felt kind of about. But it's so minor, it's not even worth mulling over. Because if the compatibility is maximum with this version, that's the one that I think we should go with. Because, like you said, if we've got 160, 180, 200 mods that potentially we need to put in this thing to get it
we don't need, like a lot of them we don't need, because basically like this was not just let's build the Marathon, right? It was all the stuff leading up to that, and so there's a lot of stuff that was just vanilla Minecraft or other unrelated mods like gravestones,
and therefore trying to replicate that.
Like I will not put those in. I will not put those in, and if those make holes in the world, I will absolutely live with that. I can't really live with lava everywhere where there's torches. That's kind of a deal breaker.
Well, here's the thing. Is there a quick fix for that where you can say, hey, these lava blocks in this world are wrong. They're supposed to be torches. Swap these. Is there any tool that does that?
MC Edit does do that. MC
Edit can. Okay.
I'm not sure how many chunks at a time it can do or how long it would take. And again, if the world was perfect except for that, then
that would be easy.
Then it would, I would absolutely do it. But it's not that. It's a bunch of stuff.
It's massively flawed, and that way I don't think even messing with it is even worth it. It makes far more sense to simply say, okay, we're going to start from the Marathon perspective. Same way if you were to pick a new dimension. If something was goofed and wrong and we had to start over again and pick a whole new dimension, we still wouldn't have everything translate over correctly from one to the other anyway. So I think you're probably right that 1.7 is probably the way to go, and it's probably better to simply start from scratch putting the core mods that you need and the core textures that you need and the tools that you need to recreate it the way that you want. And if you can use MC Edit to get the framework from the old to the new, great. If not, it's just going to be a little bit more work. But doing survival from scratch to replicate everything we did before, jeebus. I mean, that's a whole nother series, and I don't think it would be worth it, or you would want to do it after a while. I think you just run into the same problem. You'd hit a ceiling of difficulty or compatibility problems, and then we'd have to abandon it all over again. Because simply we volumetrically we have so many other things that we need to do work on, post or edit or record, So now the only other question.
What the?
What? You underwater?
Well, okay. I did the thing I was mentioning doing, which is I just made it vanilla only. I took out all the mods.
Wow. Okay. Is this the base?
I'm not really sure what this is.
Because you can't get out?
Everything has been replaced with furnaces.
Is that what these are?
Yeah, they're furnaces.
They look like stone blocks. Yeah, how come you can't get out? That's weird.
I don't know. There's also some kind of object over here. Oh, you know what it is? I think it's pork. I think a pig spawned in the air and fell down to its death.
How come you can't go up into the space? It's like
I don't know.
Trapped.
Now I can. But yeah, this is a world of furnaces. Yeah, raw pork chop. These are pork. These are pigs that were killed by whatever.
They spawned and fell down.
Oh my god, the whole world. The whole world is like, it looks like the air blocks have been replaced by furnaces.
Wow.
that is just all right. So that did not help. Eliminating all the mods.
I expected it to be worse.
Well, I know. I thought this would actually make things better. I think it crashed hard now.
Oh well, see, there you go.
Kill. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this looks like a city
it froze hard.
Office street. Yeah, no, I didn't expect that to be helpful or to work, to tell you the truth. I really did.
Well, I thought removing the mods would help. What I was suspicious of was the idea that adding more mods would help, because usually that doesn't make things better.
That would be
it makes it worse.
Worse, exactly. There would be unforeseen compatibility issues. I mean, I was amazed it ran as well as it did with all the mods you already had, to tell you the truth. I mean, there were so many and so many interactions and changes and things and whatnot. I was shocked and surprised that it worked as well as it did.
Okay,
I really was.
So basically, yeah, removing all the mods basically just means that all the blocks Minecraft doesn't know what to do with, it replaces with some vanilla block.
Right.
Which isn't helpful.
And it picks furnaces. No.
Yeah, which isn't helpful. So actually, what I might try, what I might be able to do there actually is that if I rock the world down to minimum in 1.6 to free up the block IDs. So in other words, I load the server and remove one launch at a time the unnecessary mods, leaving only the absolute core ones like Galacticraft and maybe Mechanism. Although again, I think all the Mechanism stuff is going to break. That might work better, because what we want to eliminate is the idea of it replacing mod blocks with random vanilla blocks.
Yeah.
Because if I just remove the mods from the old version of the server before bringing the world over, it shouldn't replace those blocks with vanilla blocks. It should just delete them. So basically, like, I'll delete a bunch of the blocks first before I do anything. And then, of course, they will be gone, but hopefully you can say, like, I've already seen that some of the items do come over. Like, for instance, the modular power suit stuff, that came over, and it worked. And some of the Galacticraft stuff worked in the sense that the dimension was there. It was broken and crashed, but it was there. The Galacticraft rockets, if you noticed, those were there.
They
were where they were supposed to be. So if it was true of the rockets, then it was probably true of most of the other blocks, which basically meant that all the oxygen generation stuff that was belonging to that probably also should have been where it's supposed to be and working. So, okay, so I guess what we're resolved then is basically new 1.7 world, creative mode available, and starting with bigger guns. And what I will do in that case is that I'm going to make a custom 1.7 mod that will basically just make new blocks that will have the marathon textures on them, and that is what we will start building bigger guns with. And then I will see about copying and pasting in whatever stuff we can from the old world. It'll probably be horribly broken, but at least then we'll be able to pretend that there's some continuity. You know, if we ever have to go back to Mars base or to Earth, we'll be able to say, oh, here's the old stuff. Look, at everything's broken and run down. We haven't been here in forever and nothing works, you know, that kind of thing. But at least it will be there, and it won't all be flaming lava and furnaces.
Yeah, no, that just seems goofy and odd and unnecessary.
All right, so hopefully then I will be able to start working on that this year.
Well, see, that's just it. I mean, there's so much going on, and you know what? It's not going to change. Nope. There's always the next, always the latest, always the newest, always something that's going to be around the bend.